My sister Marla leaned in and whispered, "Happy birthday, Mom." Her voice was sugary sweet, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. It was the same stiff grin she used in family portraits. Across the room, her husband Craig stood with his arms crossed, scanning the guests like he was running security at a high-stakes poker game. Every twitch of his, I felt like he was calculating people, or maybe opportunities. My 27-year-old son Eli tugged at my sleeve. His whisper sent a chill down my spine. "Get your purse. We need to leave. Right now. Pretend everything's normal." The champagne flute in my hand might as well have turned to concrete. I blinked at him, confused. The party had just started. "What?" I mouthed. He didn't answer. His grip tightened on my arm, subtle but urgent. My heart skipped. "Wait, before I go on. Please like this video and listen to my story till the end, and let me know which city you're listening from. That way, I can see how far my story has traveled. You might think this is just another family drama, but trust me, it's not. Not even close." I gave Eli a look. "What's going on?" He didn't say anything, just nodded and kept walking toward the door, keeping his hand on my elbow like a guide dog leading someone across a busy highway. My stomach began to churn. Eli had always been the protective type, even more so since his father passed away 3 years ago. But this wasn't just worry. This wasn't some anxious overreaction. This was fear. Real fear. The kind that clings to your skin. We moved through the crowd, smiling politely, nodding as we passed neighbors and church friends. My mother was radiant at the head of the table, wearing a lavender blouse she'd picked out weeks ago, surrounded by women who knew her as a Sunday school teacher, bridge partner, and potluck queen. She was 85 today and looked like she was glowing from within. Streamers dangled from the ceiling, jazz music hummed from the speakers, and the punch bowl glistened under the light. The Riverside Hall had never looked this festive. But something about the perfection of it all suddenly felt wrong. "Eli, you're scaring me," I whispered once we were outside. The cool air hit me like reality. "Good," he said. His voice was calm, but his hands were trembling. Because what I overheard scared the hell out of me. We reached the car. He yanked open the passenger door, slammed it shut behind me, and locked every door with a single press. The click of the locks was deafening. Then he turned to me, eyes dark and serious. "Mom, I need you to hear something. And after you do, we're driving straight to the police. No questions. No giving anyone the benefit of the doubt. No phone calls. Just action." He pulled out his phone. His thumb hovered above the screen. "I recorded this about 20 minutes ago. I was getting your purse from Aunt Marla's car. I think they thought no one was around." My breath hitched. My mouth went dry. "They?" I asked. He looked at me. "Marla and Craig." The names landed like a punch to the chest. Marla, the one who insisted on planning this entire party, handling the guest list, the decorations, the catering, every last detail down to the napkin color. And Craig, quiet, observant Craig who had been extra helpful lately with Mom's finances. I'd trusted them. With everything. "Play it," I said. He hit the button. Muffled voices filled the car. But clear enough to recognize. "Marla, she signed the forms this morning, right?" Craig, "Yep. Power of attorney is now yours. The old bat thinks it's just Medicare paperwork." The breath left my lungs like a balloon popped in midair. Mom had mentioned some forms. Some insurance updates Marla brought over. She said it felt good to have someone helping her navigate the mess of retirement benefits. Craig again. "Monday, she goes to the assisted living facility. Once she's in, we list the house. With the market the way it is, we'll clear at least $450,000. My throat tightened. I couldn't move. Craig's voice was cold. Flat. Businesslike. Marla, what if she fights it? Craig, she won't. I've already talked to Dr. Clemens. He's going to say she's showing early signs of dementia. Unsafe to live alone. The paperwork's already in motion. Dr. Clemens, my mother's physician for the last 20 years. The man who gave her lollipops after appointments and called her young lady every time they met. Eli stopped the audio. We sat there in silence, the noise of the party still audible through the windshield, muffled and distant like it was happening in another dimension. Inside that building, my mother laughed with her friends. Outside, I felt like I'd just witnessed a murder that hadn't happened yet. There's more, Eli said quietly. I couldn't speak. They're planning to sedate her. Tonight. Something mild. Just enough to disorient her and make the commitment look urgent. Craig said he had it in his coat pocket. The world tilted. My vision blurred. I was gripping the seat like it might vanish beneath me. This wasn't financial betrayal. This wasn't some power grab. This was kidnapping. This was chemical restraint. This was my mother's entire life being stolen from her, before she even knew what was happening. We have to go back, I whispered. Eli shook his head. We call the police first. If we go back now, they'll know we know. They'll cover their tracks, or worse. He was right, and I hated him for being right, but I also loved him fiercely for pulling me out before it was too late. How did you even know to record them? I asked. Eli stared at the dashboard. I've seen the way Craig asks questions. About Grandma's pension. Her will. I didn't like the way Marla kept showing up with documents. It felt predatory. Predatory. The word hit like a slap. I'd been so focused on surviving, on rebuilding after the divorce, on making ends meet, that I hadn't noticed what was happening right under my nose. My own sister was circling our mother like a vulture. 10 minutes, Mom, Eli said. We call 911, tell them everything, and let them handle it. But Grandma is safe for now, because she's surrounded by people. I turned and looked back through the window. There she was. My mom. The woman who raised us with casseroles and quiet strength. Laughing, clapping, unwrapping a gift she probably didn't even want. She had no idea her life was being auctioned off by the people who called her family. We had 10 minutes, but after that, the party would end, and she'd be alone with them. Eli's fingers hovered over the phone screen again. His thumb trembled slightly before he hit the call button. 911, what's your emergency? His voice was steady. Too steady. My name is Eli Maddox. I need to report elder abuse and attempted fraud. It's happening right now, at my grandmother's birthday party. I watched him speak, giving the address, explaining what we'd just heard. I sat beside him, hands clenched so tightly in my lap I could feel my own nails cutting into my skin. The party still shimmered behind the community center windows, streamers fluttering, glasses clinking. A room full of smiles and cake. But it was all a lie. I stared through the windshield, at my sister Marla refilling drinks, at Craig standing near the gift table chatting with one of the neighbors. They looked normal. They looked happy. They looked like family. But every gesture, every kind word, was a performance. A cover for the plan they were about to execute. The dispatcher asked to speak with me. I took the phone, my voice cracking slightly. Yes, I'm here. I'm her daughter. My mother, her name's Evelyn Maddox, is inside right now. She's safe for the moment, but they're planning to drug her and claim she's suffering from dementia. They've already had her sign documents she didn't understand. There was a pause. Then the calm, professional voice on the other end, we're dispatching plainclothes officers to your location. Do not intervene until they arrive. Stay where you can observe the party. I nodded, even though they couldn't see me. Okay. Okay. I ended the call and looked at Eli. We sat in silence, watching them like detectives in a bad movie. Except this wasn't fiction. This was our family. I can't believe Marla would do this, I whispered. She was always the responsible one. She helped me pick out my prom dress. She made lasagna for me when Eli was born. Eli raised an eyebrow. Mom, she's been asking about Grandma's money for years. You just didn't want to see it. I turned to him sharply. What's that supposed to mean? He met my gaze calmly, like he was talking to a child. Last Christmas, she asked if Grandma had a life insurance policy. 2 weeks later, she started bringing over forms to help with her Medicare. It's been building for months, probably years. I closed my eyes. Guilt washed over me like a tidal wave. He was right. I'd missed every sign. Marla hadn't just stumbled into this. She'd designed it. The careful manipulation, the paperwork, the trust. It had all been part of the setup. My phone buzzed. Marla. A text. Where are you? Mom's asking for you. I showed Eli. He scoffed. They're getting nervous. Good. Another message. Eli too. The cake is amazing. Come back in. Should I reply? I asked, feeling the weight of every word. Lie, Eli said. Say we went to the car. We'll be right back. I typed the message with shaking fingers. Just getting something. Be right in. I looked back at the windows. There she was, Marla, reading the message, then turning to Craig. He nodded. She said something quickly, and Craig headed toward the doors. They're looking for us, Eli muttered. Craig's on the move. Sure enough, Craig exited the hall and started walking toward the parking lot. His expression was blank. Too blank. His hands were in his pockets, but his shoulders were tense. Get down, Eli said, pulling me below the dashboard. We crouched low, my heart thudding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Craig walked right past our car, then stopped. He pulled out his phone. Even through the closed windows, I could hear him, sharp, frustrated. They're not here, he snapped. Yeah, I checked everywhere. Their car's still here, but they're gone. No, we stick to the plan. Maybe they just went for a walk. A walk. That's what he told whoever was on the line? Like we were out for a romantic evening stroll during our mother's birthday? He turned and started back toward the building. Eli and I sat up slowly, breathing like we'd been underwater. Where are the police? I whispered. It's only been 10 minutes. 10 minutes that felt like 10 years. What if they decide to leave early? I asked. Then we follow them. But the police said, I'm not letting them take her, Mom. If they try to move her, I'll stop them. You realize this could get dangerous, right? His voice dropped. His hands were clenched. These aren't people who stop at stealing money. They're willing to drug her. That's not just theft. That's something darker. He didn't say it, but I knew what he meant. They were willing to cross a line. And once you cross it, you might keep going. I was about to reply when blue and red lights flickered in the mirror. No sirens. Just 3 unmarked cars pulling quietly into the lot. Thank God. 2 officers got out, walking toward us like guests arriving fashionably late. One of them flashed a badge. Are you the callers? Yes, sir, Eli said quickly. I'm Eli Maddox. This is my mom, Sarah. I'm Officer Delgado. We need to hear that recording. Eli played it. The officer listened, stone-faced, but I saw the slight tightening of his jaw when Craig mentioned the drug. Do you know what the substance is? He asked. No. Just that it's supposedly in his coat. And your mother, Evelyn Maddox, is still inside? Yes. It's her 85th birthday. Officer Delgado nodded slowly. Here's what's going to happen. Two of my officers are going to blend in, plain clothes. We'll observe quietly. I swallowed. What if they try to give her something? They won't get the chance. He turned, motioned to his team. Then he looked at us again. But I need to be clear. Do not interfere. Do not confront. Act like nothing's wrong. How am I supposed to smile at my sister after what I just heard? I asked, my voice cracking. Officer Delgado looked at me kindly. You're a mother. You'll do it. He wasn't wrong. Mothers can pretend anything if it means keeping their children, or their mothers, safe. He walked off, disappearing into the crowd. Eli and I stood outside the building, hearts pounding. Ready? He asked. I nodded. But nothing felt normal anymore. Not the decorations. The doors slid open with a soft whoosh as Eli and I stepped back into the party. The warm scent of vanilla cake and fresh flowers hit me like a punch. Laughter still echoed through the hall. Guests clinked glasses, chatted about bridge clubs and grandkids, completely unaware of the storm brewing just beneath the surface. Marla spotted us instantly. She rushed toward us with a smile so wide it nearly cracked her face. There you are. Mom's been worried sick. We just had to grab something from the car, I said, forcing a casual tone I didn't feel. For 45 minutes, she asked, a little too brightly. Eli gave a sheepish grin. Car trouble. It's sorted now. She narrowed her eyes just slightly, then let it go. Well, you missed Mom's speech. She thanked everyone, especially her 2 daughters and her wonderful grandson. Her words landed with a strange weight. 2 daughters. I wondered if Mom would still say that tomorrow, once she knew what Marla had planned. Where is she now? I asked, scanning the room. Sitting with the bridge ladies, Mrs. Lockhart, Janet, the usual crew. Telling stories like she's 30 again. Marla gestured across the room. There she was. My mother. Glowing. Laughing. Telling a story with her hands. Not frail. Not confused. Not the woman they wanted to portray. She looks great, I murmured. Marla tilted her head, voice turning syrupy. Oh, you know how she is. Always putting on a show. But she's been struggling, Sarah. Struggling. My voice caught in my throat. Yes, with her memory. With medications. Paul and I were going to take her home tonight. Save you the trip. There it was. The trap. The setup. That's sweet, I said smoothly, but Eli and I wanted to spend more time with her. We'll take her home. Her smile flickered, just a hair. Oh, well, that's fine, I suppose. Though we promised to help her sort through some paperwork tonight. She's been so confused lately, especially with Medicare forms. Maybe tomorrow would be better, I said, matching her tone. She'll be tired after all this. Yes, she said tightly. But those documents have deadlines. We can't delay. I stared at her across 47 years of sisterhood, and for the first time, I didn't see my older sister. I saw a stranger in a familiar shell. I'm sure we'll figure it out, I said. Her eyes flickered past me, to Craig, who was now deep in conversation with a tall, pale man near the dessert table. A man in a doctor's coat. Dr. Clemens. The same man Craig said had already filed paperwork to declare Mom unfit. He was here. Smiling, shaking Craig's hand like they were old friends. I turned back to Marla, who followed my gaze, then smiled brightly. Isn't it wonderful Dr. Clemens could make it? He's been so concerned about Mom's memory lapses. I laughed once. Cold. Lapses. She just remembered my third-grade teacher's name last week. From 1985. Marla shrugged. She has good days. But you don't see her daily like I do. Eli returned with 2 slices of cake and nudged my arm. Grandma wants you to sit with her. I smiled, about to follow him, when Marla grabbed my elbow. Actually, Sarah, could I talk to you in private? Just for a moment. Every instinct screamed don't go. But refusing would make her suspicious. Sure, I said, faking a casual shrug. Eli, keep Grandma company. Marla led me past the kitchen, into a quiet hallway that smelled faintly of mop water and lemon cleaner. The noise of the party faded. She checked to make sure no one was listening. Her voice changed instantly, cooler, sharper. We need to talk about Mom. My stomach twisted. What about her? Don't play dumb. You've seen the signs. She's not well. She forgets names, leaves the stove on. I stared at her. I haven't seen any of that. Because you're not there, she snapped. You visit once a week and think you know everything. I'm the one who's there at 3 a.m. when she wanders outside in her bathrobe, asking when Dad's coming home. Dad's been gone for 12 years. And if that had happened, it could be real, or it could be a convenient lie. I think she's fine, I said. She's not. And Paul and I are taking steps before something tragic happens. We've found a place, Sunset Grove. They specialize in memory care. Beautiful facility. She doesn't have dementia, I whispered. Not officially. Yet. But early intervention. What gives you the right to decide that? Marla raised her chin. The power of attorney. She signed it this morning. My heart stopped. What? She thought it was Medicare paperwork, Marla said quickly. It was cleaner that way. I was suddenly freezing cold, standing in a hallway that might as well have been a courtroom. I want to see it, I said. It's at home. I'll bring it tomorrow. No. I want to see it tonight. Marla's smile tightened into a line. Don't be ridiculous. I'm not leaving Mom's party to go fetch paperwork. Then maybe we don't talk about this tonight at all. She paused, calculating. Fine. Tomorrow morning. 9 a.m. I nodded, knowing I'd never see those papers. Not without a warrant. As we stepped back into the party, the mood felt off. The warmth was still there, but it was artificial. Hollow. Across the room, I spotted Craig, talking to Dr. Clemens again. Except now he was watching Mom. Studying her. Taking notes. I leaned close to Eli. We need to keep her away from him. What's going on? He asked, his expression darkening. They're trying to assess her. Here. Now. At her birthday party? They want something, anything, to justify commitment. If she slips up once, they'll use it. That's when Marla appeared again, holding a small pastel gift bag, walking toward Mom's table. There's something extra in there for your special day, she said with a sing-song voice. What is it? Mom asked, already reaching for it with curiosity. Just a few of those herbal teas you love. Tea. That innocent word hit me like a slap. Mom mentioned she wasn't sleeping well, Marla continued smoothly. This one is chamomile with lavender and valerian root. Supposed to be really effective. I stepped in. How thoughtful, I said, grabbing the bag. Mind if I see which kind? Marla's hand darted to block me. Oh, they're specially wrapped. I don't want to ruin the presentation. I've had trouble sleeping too, I said sweetly. I'd love to try the same kind. We both smiled and tugged politely at the same gift bag. Mom blinked, confused. Girls, what's gotten into you? Nothing, Marla said, releasing it. Sarah's just being thorough. I opened the bag. 3 boxes. Perfectly sealed. Innocent looking. Too innocent. I handed them to Eli. Why don't you go put these in the car for Grandma? He nodded, already moving. That's not necessary, Marla said quickly. Eli's a helper, I replied. And as he left, I noticed it. Marla's hands were shaking. The cracks were starting to show. And we were just getting started. What's really in that tea? And what exactly is Dr. Clemens doing at the party? In part 4, the plan starts to unravel, and everything Marla and Craig have been hiding comes to light. Stay with me. It's about to get even darker. Eli returned from the car with his jaw clenched and eyes sharp. They're not herbal teas, he whispered, pulling me aside. I looked them up. One's an over-the-counter sedative. The other 2 are blends mixed with melatonin and valerian root. Strong doses. Enough to confuse someone, especially at Grandma's age. My heart dropped into my stomach. She'd planned this. Marla wasn't just monitoring Mom's mental state. She was manufacturing it. We walked back to the table where Mom sat smiling, opening a glittery card that played a chime when opened. She laughed. God, she still laughed like a girl. And there, just a few feet away, stood Craig, holding 2 glasses of punch. He handed one to Mom. My breath caught. I scanned her face. She hadn't sipped it yet. Mom, let me grab you some water, I said quickly, taking the glass from her hand before she could lift it to her lips. You've had a lot of sugar tonight. Oh, okay, she said, startled but unbothered. Craig's eyes flicked to mine. Not angry, just aware. I got that for her, he said mildly. I know, I said, matching his tone. But she's diabetic. He didn't respond, just turned away, heading toward the kitchen again, pocketing something as he walked. I don't trust him, Eli said, low and urgent. I never did, I whispered. I just didn't realize why. 2 plainclothes officers stood near the wall, pretending to examine the raffle table. But their eyes were sharp, watching Craig, watching Marla, watching Dr. Clemens. It was like standing in the middle of a chessboard where no one had declared the game. Yet, a moment later, Officer Delgado approached, holding a clipboard. Miss Maddox, he said, smiling politely at Marla. She blinked. Yes. I'm Detective Delgado. This is my partner, Officer Keene. We'd like to ask you a few questions. Privately. Marla glanced at me, then at Craig, then tried to smile. Oh, of course. What's this about? Nothing serious, he said casually. Just routine. She followed them toward the back room, her spine stiff. Craig watched her go. His face turned gray. He started moving, fast, toward the coat rack. Eli stepped in his path. Going somewhere? He asked. Excuse me, Craig muttered. Eli didn't move. What's in your coat, Craig? That's none of your business. It is when you're drugging my grandmother. Craig's eyes narrowed. You're a paranoid little brat. You always have been. That may be, Eli said, but I'm also recording this conversation. And so are they. He gestured casually toward the officers near the door, who now stepped forward. Craig froze. The look on his face wasn't anger. It was calculation. He reached for the coat anyway. One officer intercepted him. Sir, we're going to need to search that. Craig hesitated. For one heartbeat too long. Then he smiled. Of course. He handed it over. The officer unzipped the inner pocket and pulled out a small white pill bottle. No label. Another packet of unmarked tea. And a folded envelope. Inside, a signed affidavit from Dr. Clemens, dated 3 days ago, claiming Evelyn Maddox had shown consistent signs of cognitive decline and posed a risk to herself if left unsupervised. It was all ready. The documents, the sedatives, the fake medical testimony. They'd planned to walk out of that party and straight into the facility, with Mom drugged, and no one the wiser. Until now. Officer Keene turned to Craig. "Sir, I'm going to ask you to come with us." Craig started to protest, but it was too late. He was escorted out. Quietly, calmly. Just another guest leaving early. But I watched his eyes as he passed me. There was no guilt, only rage. And just behind it, fear. Because the game had changed. Marla reappeared 10 minutes later, her smile replaced by a pale, confused expression. The kind someone wears when the script in their head doesn't match what's actually happening. She walked up to me slowly, her voice low. "What did you do?" "What you did," I said, "was try to take everything from the one woman who trusted you most." She looked around, panic flaring in her eyes as she saw the plainclothes officer hand Dr. Clemens a notice. "What did they say?" she whispered. "They're taking Craig in and reviewing every document he filed, including that fake affidavit." Marla's voice cracked. "He told me it was legal. He told me." "Stop." I held up a hand. "You don't get to cry now. You were going to put Mom in a facility she didn't need. You were going to drug her, Marla." Her eyes welled. "She needs help. She's forgetful. She's 85. She's allowed to forget things. That doesn't mean she deserves to be stripped of her life." Marla swayed slightly. For a second, I thought she might faint. But I didn't reach out. She wasn't my sister anymore. Not in this moment. Behind me, Mom stood from her chair, gently walking toward us. "What's going on?" she asked, looking between us. I turned to her, my throat suddenly tight. "Everything's okay, Mom. Just some confusion with Craig." She frowned. "Where is he?" "He had to leave early," I said. "But don't worry. You're with us now." Her eyes softened, and she smiled. "You always were the quiet one," she said. "But you knew when to step up." Tears prickled behind my eyes. This time, I didn't fight them. The police cars were gone. So was Craig. Taken into custody after they found the sedatives, the forged affidavit, and a flash drive in his glove compartment labeled simply, "Documents." Detective Delgado hadn't told me everything on it yet, but his look had said enough. Whatever Craig had been hiding, it went way beyond my mother. Eli drove Mom home that night while I stayed behind to answer a few more questions. Marla sat across the room, pale and quiet, hugging her purse like it was a life preserver in a sinking ship. The woman who once ran the PTA with military efficiency now looked like she didn't know what day it was. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Detective Delgado closed his notebook and stood. "We'll be following up tomorrow. Craig's being held without bail for now. And we'll be subpoenaing Dr. Clemens' records." "What about Marla?" I asked. He looked at her, then back at me. "We're still reviewing her level of involvement. But your mother is safe. That's what matters." He left with a nod. I sat in silence until Marla finally spoke. "I didn't know about the pills." I didn't respond. She tried again. "It wasn't supposed to be like this." "Oh, what was it supposed to be, Marla?" I asked, turning to face her fully. "Mom just quietly signs everything over and disappears into a care home while you play house in her empty one?" She flinched. "It wasn't about the money." "Then what was it about?" She hesitated, looked away. Then, in a whisper, "She picked you." What? After Dad died, she said. She was supposed to come live with me. I had the room. I had the space. She said she would. But then she changed her mind. She said she didn't want to be a burden. Said you needed her more. My stomach twisted. So this was revenge? No, she snapped. It was correction. You got the sympathy. You got her attention. I got the mess, the bills, the appointments, the check-ins, every week. And instead of asking for help, I said, you plotted to drug and disappear her. I didn't know about the drugs, she yelled, louder than she meant to. Her voice echoed in the empty hall. Then she took a breath. Her voice fell again. Cold. Flat. But yes, I wanted the house. It should have been mine. I was the one taking care of her. No, Marla, I said. You weren't. You were managing her, controlling her. That's not the same thing. She was quiet for a long time. Then she stood up. I'll be gone before morning, she said. You won. You always do. She turned toward the exit, but just before she reached the door, she looked back. Check Craig's files, she said. You think this ends with Mom? It doesn't. And then she left. The next morning, Delgado called. Are you sitting down? He asked. Why? We got into Craig's flash drive. He's done this before. My blood went cold. What? 10 years ago. A woman named Lorraine Kavanaugh. No living children. No close relatives. Craig helped her transition into assisted living. Sold her home within 3 weeks of admission. Power of attorney was granted by Dr. Clemens. My voice shook. She died. Not officially. She was declared missing a year later. The facility marked her as discharged to hospice, but no hospice has record of her. Her body was never found. I couldn't breathe. So Craig's a serial predator? Looks like it. But your mother survived because someone paid attention. Someone listened. That someone was Eli. I drove straight to Mom's house that afternoon. She was in the kitchen, humming as she made soup. Eli sat at the table, scrolling through photos on her iPad. When she saw me, her whole face lit up. There's my girl. I walked over and hugged her. A real hug. A long one. She pulled back slightly. Did I miss something? No, I said softly. You missed nothing. That's what matters. She patted my cheek. Good. Now sit down before the soup gets cold. As she ladled broth into bowls, Eli met my eyes across the table. We didn't speak. We didn't have to. We both knew how close we'd come. One more day. 1 cup of tea. 1 dose of the wrong medication. And she'd be locked away in a place where no one would believe her. All because she trusted the wrong daughter. Later that evening, Eli showed me the photos again. Family birthdays. Barbecues. One image stuck out. Mom sitting in her garden, wearing a sun hat, holding a cup of lemonade. The caption read, Still blooming. Still blooming. That's what she was. 85 years old. Smarter than they gave her credit for. Kinder than they deserved. And far more resilient than anyone realized. This story didn't end in tragedy. Because we didn't look away. We listened. We acted. We protected her. Like she had protected us, our whole lives. But it's not over. In part 6, the investigation deepens. What other families were targeted by Craig and Dr. Clemens? And will Marla face justice, or disappear like she always does when things get hard? The truth is darker than anyone expected. Stay with me. 2 weeks passed. 2 long, silent weeks where the dust slowly settled. Craig remained behind bars. The charges had grown, from fraud to attempted elder abuse, and now possibly involuntary manslaughter, depending on what turned up in the reopened case of Lorraine Kavanaugh. The forensic team was combing through Dr. Clemens' old files, and what they were finding wasn't just sloppy paperwork. It was intentional, systematic, like a well-oiled machine built to exploit the elderly and erase the ones who couldn't be milked any further. He wasn't a doctor. He was a scalpel in the hands of a thief. And Marla? She disappeared. Her house was empty when they went to serve her notice. Her phone disconnected. The last thing I heard was that she'd drained a joint bank account she shared with Craig, money he'd likely stolen from other victims. No one had seen her since. Mom didn't ask about her much. Once, over coffee, she just said, "Some people only know how to love when there's something to gain. That's not love. That's leverage." And then she added, with her usual quiet grace, "But thank you for not letting them win." She didn't cry. Not once. But I did. Twice. Once in the grocery store when I saw a woman helping her mother pick out soup and thought, that should have been Marla. And again at night, when I watched Mom sitting on the porch with Eli, telling him about how his grandfather used to whistle while changing tires. She deserved peace. She deserved better. And for once in her life, she got both. A month after the party, Eli got a letter. It was from the daughter of Lorraine Kavanaugh's former neighbor. She'd seen Eli's interview on the news. He was being praised for helping expose the scheme. "I never knew what happened to Lorraine," she wrote. "She just disappeared. Thank you for giving us hope again." Eli didn't say much when he read it. He just nodded once. And that was enough. As for me, I started spending Sundays at Mom's, helping in the garden, cooking from her recipe cards, letting her tell stories I'd heard 1,000 times, but now listened to like I was hearing them for the first time. We didn't talk about Marla. We didn't need to. Some absences speak loud enough without words. Then, one night, I found something. A shoebox at the top of Mom's closet. Old letters. Photos. Birth certificates. But tucked in the very bottom was a small envelope with my name on it. In Marla's handwriting. I hesitated. Opened it. Inside, a single-page letter. Handwritten. Jagged. Angry. But honest. "Sarah." I didn't start out meaning to hurt her. I swear I didn't. It just got easy. She trusted me. Too much. And Craig knew how to handle things. That's how he put it. He made me feel like we were fixing something broken. But we weren't fixing anything. We were breaking it more. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I wouldn't believe it if you gave it. But I do want you to know. I'm sorry I chose him. And I'm sorry I became someone Mom couldn't be proud of. Take care of her. You always did. Marla. I stared at it for a long time. Then I folded it up, placed it back in the envelope, and returned it to the shoebox. Not because I wanted to forget, but because some truths need to rest, not burn. This wasn't the ending I expected, but it was the one we survived. And survival. Sometimes that's the only happy ending you get. You made it to the end of the story, but now ask yourself, what would have happened if Eli didn't speak up? What if we believed silence was the same as peace? If you see something wrong, say something. Even if the person you're protecting needs saving from their own family. Tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you were Sarah? Or Eli? And if you loved this story, share it. Someone out there might need to hear it more than you know.